This is the Riviera. This is where royalty comes to play, where the azure blue Mediterranean sparkles below thousand-year-old villages, and great chefs from around the world come to pay homage. So of course, I'm here. It's my goal to experience the best the world has to offer. And this time, that means racing a Ferrari through the streets of Monaco, getting an insider's look at what it takes to captain a luxury cruise ship, hanging out with one of Spain's top chefs, tasting wines from one of Tuscany's oldest wineries, and experiencing the hidden gems of the Mediterranean. These are life-changing experiences, and they're all part of the luxury list. The word Mediterranean literally means middle land, because since the dawn of recorded history, this was the center of the known universe. You can forgive the ancient peoples of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East for believing that they lived in the world's most special place. Fast forward a few millennia, and today, the Mediterranean is still at the center of the world, and people still flock here for the climate, culture, and cuisine. The light is special here, the sun is more sublime, and even rainy days somehow seem more romantic. On a personal note, there is something so sexy about the sound of high heel shoes on cobblestone streets. This is a place of fashion and style. It has history and substance, but it's also very sexy. The Mediterranean is where the rich and beautiful come to play. And it's a place where billionaires linger over long meals, and models come to be seen. It's also a great destination for those of us with a little more modest means, especially if you're like me and you want to experience the best the world has to offer. As any young boy, who doesn't dream of driving a Ferrari? Well, if you're gonna get that chance, might as well do it where James Bond himself goes to play. And I can't think of a better place than the streets of Monaco. The windy roads, the view, the machine. Does it get any better than that? From somebody who drives a Ferrari every day, if you had to tell me, in your own opinion, what is the most incredible thing about a Ferrari?
For me, it's the most incredible. If you prefer, first thing, it's the engine, because you have fantastic engine. And you see, when you drove the car with me, you never use a brake. You use only brake engine, okay, and stability with the car. And so in a turn, your car doesn't move, so it's really fantastic. And you can't find this driving with another car. You see, that's very special.
I honestly could not imagine driving a Ferrari that was an automatic shifting there, because the whole pleasure is the shifting, is the downshifting, is the upshifting.
Yeah, that's right. So there is no interest, you see. It's like your bike. If you drive your bike, okay, automatic, it won't be interesting for you. You see what I mean?
No, motorcycles, automatic, just wouldn't cut it. That's no pleasure driving experience at all.
I much prefer that kind of car because it's a pleasure and it's not a competition. You see, when you are in competition, you have a Formula 1 palette, you see, so it's fantastic to earn a lot of time. But for our pleasure for driving this car, the best is with manual speed, you see. So the model you drove, okay, actually, it's a 360 Modena, it's a 400 horsepower. The engine, it's a V8, and it's a 3.6 liter, you see. And it's a marvelous car, you see. If you want to buy, for example, a Ferrari like a 360 Modena, like you drive, it's about 180,000 euros for a new one, you see.
The route we just took now, that was great. That was up the mountains, down the side, windy roads. I mean, can you get any better than that?
For me, if you prefer the best road for driving this car, it's a mountain road, you see, because it's a lot of turn, you see, and so for me, it's the only way for driving this car, you see. To go on a highway, for example, and drive at 250 to 60 kilometers, okay, for me there is no interest, you see, because you just have to push on the accelerator and to stay like that, you see. But to have a very nice driving, okay, on mountain road, it's quite difficult. And so for me, that's the best road, okay, for driving there. Yeah.
thank you very much. That was an absolute pleasure, and thanks for the teaching, the teaching on driving a Ferrari.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, it was great.
So what really goes on behind the scenes of a luxury cruise liner? Can you imagine hanging out with the captain and his team while the rest of us are swimming or playing or eating? Just imagine how much technology and instruments go into building a bridge. Now, if you ever get that chance, just a little piece of advice. Don't ask for a quick lesson on how to steer a ship. Captain Hans, so much goes on up here on the bridge that all of us as passengers never get to see.
You know, it's not only the bridge where a lot of things go on that passengers never see, because the bridge is actually fairly obvious when you navigate the ship. But there's a lot of things that are going on behind the screens which, yeah, people never hear about, never see about. And it's like, you never know what the day is going to be like. Every day is different. Captain takes his business, like he's a general manager of a business. You take your business, including your customers, including your employees, with you around the world. You're in a different place every day.
Can you give me a quick lesson on really what it takes to steer a ship of this size?
A quick lesson? It took me only 30 years, but I did it. Well, you know, first of all, you have to come from a navigation officer's rank. But to really teach you very fast how to sail a ship, it's almost impossible. But I can show you some of the instruments if you like.
Love to see them.
This is actually where we maneuver the ship. We operate the ship when you come into a harbor. Right now you're sailing on the ocean, that's on automatic pilot. But you come into a port and then suddenly you need to use your bow thrusters to swing the ship around. You need to adjust your speed. Like for example, I'm standing on top of a window.
It's a very cool glass floor.
That's why we have a maneuvering console here on the bridge swing. You need to see how close you are to the dock, because you come in too fast and you have $1 million dent.
What is it from your perspective that makes Holland America Line different from the other cruise companies?
Holland America Line, first of all, I really believe is the atmosphere on board with the Indonesian and Filipino crew, and they really put a stamp on the ship of friendly service, gracious service, and that is probably what the biggest difference of Holland America Line is, the atmosphere on board.
I just want to thank you so much for the time you've taken today on giving me this private tour of the bridge. It's absolutely fascinating to see this end of it. As we're so often pampered as a guest, it's nice to know what also goes on.
Well, you're very welcome, and yeah, I hope you learned something, because I learned something from you, and hope to see you back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up next, I eat, I drink. For those of you who know me, you might just find that shocking. As a huge foodie myself, I am so in touch with what's going on. And every now and then I find myself in a place where the history is rich, the weather is perfect, and the food, it's as honest and as fresh as can be. Just add a chef who knows his stuff and comes with more passion than even he knows what to do with, and you have one hell of a gastronomic experience on your hands. Enjoy. How important is the food program to the hotel?
Very important.
This isn't just your average hotel food. I mean, the food here is amazing. Your chef is world class. Do a lot of your guests stay and eat in the hotel?
A lot of them. Yes. But once they try our restaurant, they normally repeat, because they don't expect, I honestly think they don't expect to have the food that they do have here.
Familiar.
But really what draws him to do these kind of plates is his childhood flavors. Some of the dishes, even though they're made with modern techniques, all they do is represent the flavors from his childhood. I mean, you could pretty much get some of these flavors 30 years ago in a family table here in any town. They wouldn't be placed like that probably, but that's basically the essence of it.
Every single piece he did had meaning to it. Nothing was just taken out of the pen and put on the plate without being modified for perfection?
Well, I think the secret is that you have to love what you do. If you love what you do things nice.
Such a fresh shrimp that it really doesn't need that much time about cooking. We want to bring out the flavor, so just by searing it off, you bring out all that flavor that you need. It's actually kind of raw in the middle, so it's just vuelta y vuelta, what we say in Spain. It's one side and one side. Vale, vale. He's very keen on you trying this dish. So if you're a chef, you're gonna like this. That over there, it's called papada de cerdo. Es cerdo ibérico. It's Iberian pig. It's a pig that you can only get it in Spain. It only feasts on acorn. Okay, you have to get a little bit of each. Let's say a little bit of the papada, which is the center meat. A little bit of the espardeña.
Oh, I love the flavors. Gentlemen, that is fantastic. Food, expertly cooked. And you know what? It's honest food. It's not overcomplicated, it's not food science, it's food.
Appreciate it. Thank you for enjoying the food.
Wine is a huge passion of mine. I've been in hospitality, the food and wine business, for over 25 years. And hanging out in Tuscany is always just such a thrill. It's where the perfect blend of food and wine comes together. It's like no other. And having the opportunity to visit one of Tuscany's oldest wineries dating back to 1141, wow, that is such a cool experience. Stefano, Ricasoli has such a vast history. Can you tell me about it?
It's for sure the oldest winery in the business since the family settled in Broglio in 1141. The castle was built in the 12th century. It has always had a role in the territory. Another interesting period was the 19th century, while Bettino Ricasoli, the inventor of the formula of Chianti Classico, was living here, because probably was the first property approaching the wine business in a very modern way. He was managing the vineyards as single vineyards 2 centuries ago. Between the 1920 and the 1950, Ricasoli was considered the Toscan producer. The long history of the family is an asset, but it's more important the recent history. Because you have to know that Ricasoli in the 70s, and I'm talking of the brand Ricasoli and the winery, was sold to Seagram's. And in over 20 years of Seagram's management, the brand has been, I would say, destroyed, because they used to make bulk wines, big volumes, so they were bottling about 11 million bottles. And then the family came back to the business. And again, a totally different approach. Well, if you want to make an outstanding quality, we have to start from the scratch, and they have replanted everything. But what is more important is the great job they have done over the years selecting the best clones of Sangiovese. We believe that Sangiovese so far is our main asset.
Chianti. Is it a region? Is it a way of making wine? Is it a grape varietal? What is Chianti?
It's a mix of all of the elements you have just said. Chianti, first of all, is different from Chianti Classico. More or less you can make Chianti in every Toscan province, so from the north, Lucca, down to Grosseto.
Only in Tuscany?
Only in Tuscany. You can make a Chianti Classico only between Florence and Siena. Then there is the grape issue. Sangiovese is representing the majority of the blend of both of the appellations. To make a Chianti Classico, you have to use at least 80% of Sangiovese. Otherwise, you can't call it Chianti Classico. We spend time, efforts, a lot of patience, a lot of dedication trying to find out which was the best soil, the best microclimate for this variety. We are releasing very soon a new wine, Chianti Classico, of course, 100% Sangiovese. You will realize yourself on how the knowledge on Sangiovese has reached such an outstanding perfection. You won't find any Chianti Classico and any Sangiovese with such a personality.
That is just such a wonderful wine, and I never felt this way about Chianti.
We have the wine representing more the general philosophy of the company so far, which is Castello di Broglio. Is made from the best grapes of the best vineyards of Broglio.
It's dark.
Again, the philosophy is different. It's not a single vineyard. Here, you have more peculiar characteristics.
This is a very interesting wine. I find it incredibly easy to drink.
It is.
This is incredible though, and this also not only changes my look on the company, Ricasole, but it also changes my outlook on Chianti as well. Well, I would like to thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
For this new look at Ricasole again.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Coming up next, I dig a lot deeper into the beauty and wonders of the Mediterranean. Why? Well, because these destinations are all part of the luxury list. Cruising the high seas has been considered a luxury for well over a century now. And let's face it, if you're gonna see the Riviera, you might as well do it in style. Where else can you see so many amazing and unique places while taking tours and getting even more history than you know what to do with? Martin, Holland America Line has amazing Mediterranean cruises. When we go into all these different ports, as an overall theme, what is there to do?
Well, basically, Mediterranean is worldwide known, I would say, for its history, culture, and then joie de vivre, as the French people would say, which is the happiness of life, joy of life.
Tell me about Corsica.
Well, in history, it was changing the hands quite a few times. Let me tell you that it starts from the Roman times, when it was already known as a rich and populated island, going through the medieval times when it was fought over by peasants, Italians, Spanish and French, then coming to being the part of France, and a very strong point, Napoleon was born in Ajaccio, which is capital of Corsica, and only in the modern times Corsica kind of caught their breath, and now you can really explore it fully. It is a French culture, it is a French taxes, it is French rules, so it's like you're in France, but it's better.
Monaco, really fascinating place. One of the smallest countries in the world, the lavish lifestyle, the money. Tell me about Monaco.
Well, Monaco has this air. You can really, when you see Marina, the yachts in there, I mean, each of them has a space for a helicopter. Now, when it comes to a destination as a cruise ship, Monaco is a fantastic gateway to the Côte d'Azur, which is the Golden Coast or French Riviera. It's just a very convenient place to go, and then again, who does not want to walk on the streets where the Princess Grace walks? That's all right there. Livorno itself is a major commercial port, so it has some history, but the major fact is Florence and Pisa, and this is the gateway to Tuscany.
Tuscany, extremely famous for its food, its wine, its castles.
The best place to go will be like little villas out there in the countryside, because as much as there's many castles, they specialize in these classical Tuscany villas. When you go there, you'll have this dinner, you'll have this wine, you'll have the perfect mixture. There is something for everybody there.
Tunisia, really unique place. Not what you would typically expect from a part of Africa.
I always like to put Tunisia in perspective when it comes to traveling North Africa, because North Africa will have a couple of countries normal being visited, and Tunisia is, I would call it, most tourist friendly. I would say it's a very good balance for somebody who wants to be introduced into the North African Muslim countries, and then if you like it, you can go for more real things. If you want just to stay with the luxury part, it's all there as well. When you see a lot of the islands, they are small, they are limited in space to construct. But then there's not that many people living there. On the contrary, Malta was always heavily inhabited, heavily fought over. So whenever you turn around, you have fortifications, you have churches, you have constructions going there, and usually it's from the medieval times. So enter the history, enter the size of it. I mean, you should really go there and see it, you know, those white walls, the white fortifications. It really does have an impact. It's so much different than the other islands. I'm passionate about pizza in Naples. I mean, I love it, and whenever I go to pizza, my agent waits with the pizza for me and everything. The fertility of the land, because Vesuvius is a volcano. Whenever you spit the volcanic ash, it's a fertile soil. Then you start with the Romans who appreciate the wine, and bingo, you have the place with the gorgeous food, best wine, a lot of sun. Nobody really wants to work there.
Do you blame them?
Rome is the capital of the modern world as we know it. My advice, whenever somebody asks me about Rome, is that Rome was not built in a day. It cannot be seen in a day. They constructed the first empire as we know. The law that we are using, it's deriving from the Codex Romanum, from the Roman law. The Latin is practically in every language, so we have so much to look for to Rome and the Roman Empire. So that's why Rome is so important. You can only imagine how great it was in the old times, when that was truly the biggest city in the world. That was like the only one city in the world at the time.
Martin, you are an insane fountain of knowledge in the Mediterranean. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
As I stand here and reflect on my experience in the Riviera, the sound of the waves lapping at the boats in the harbor, the seagulls flying overhead, I am reminded at just how beautiful the Mediterranean really is. Since before recorded history, artists and dreamers have been drawn here for its natural beauty and bounty, and I can see why. For me, it's been a fabulous experience, a chance to indulge in my favorite things in life: great food, interesting people, fast cars, and of course, exotic locations. I'm Jody Ness. Join me next time as we celebrate the best the world has to offer on The Luxury List.